I'm Deja. Sometimes I draw and sometimes I paint. This video is going to be a little insight about my progress for planning and beginning a painting. First, I sit down and plan my week. I set deadlines because without a deadline, I'm kind of all over the place. I'll never get anything done. After updating my Notion, it is time to dive right in. I did a sketch about 2 months ago, so I have my heading about what I want the painting to look like, but I never actually sat down and decided a color scheme, so I want to talk about color harmony with my paintings a bit, and overall how I use color. So I want to experiment with color and make my painting feel more interesting. Right now my color scheme that I like feels very flat and all over the place. Sometimes I'll have parts that are muted and cool tone, and another part is saturated and feels like it doesn't really fit the mood. It feels very incohesive. So I'm going to dedicate time to managing color, experimenting with it, and see what looks good and doesn't look good. I also want to practice layering color on top of each other. I had an idea of the subject being a side profile, and I never painted anything like this before. I wanted to focus on what the background would look like. I usually do a blue tone background with a few trees, and I wanted to spruce that up a bit. I came up with an idea like a trompe-l'oeil, a border, like pillars on each side of the painting. I'm not sure if I'm going to stick with the idea, but I did like the idea of pillars, so I added a bit of ivy and vines just to make it feel like my art style. Originally, I had an idea to do curtains. I was really inspired by Boucher's Toilette de Venus, which is the first color study I did where the curtains are purple, but I felt like there were too many colors going on. I really wanted to have something simple. And then the second one, which is at the very bottom, I had the idea of the pillars with like a sunset background. But again, it felt like too many colors were involved and it was going to be a lot. I really want to stick with the idea of pillars, like I said before. But I'll see how I feel once I start painting. But speaking of painting, I wanted to try a grisaille, and I spent a lot of time on YouTube reading articles on like different websites and even going on Reddit, but nothing felt very helpful. And then I stumbled upon this YouTube channel, and I'm going to link it down below, but it really helped me understand grisaille and glazing, and there are a lot of tutorials on the channel. A lot of videos about different master copies to look at and try to understand the process more. But simply put, a grisaille is an underpainting with monochromatic tones. I use white and black on a gray value scale, and you layer color on top of it very slowly once it's dried. Usually for my paintings, I go straight in with color, but I wanted to try this method to see if it affects the way I paint or how it affects how three-dimensional my subject looks. I wanted to emphasize value a bit more too, and I think it'll help with structure when I paint. Before I dedicated this practice, this technique on a canvas, I wanted to do a small sheet of paper just like a test to see if I even enjoyed painting with a monochromatic color palette. Once the small oil painting study that I used on Bristol board was dry, it took about a day and a half, I attempted to glaze. And I'm not sure if it's because of the paper or I used too much medium, but it looked very odd, but I know it's my first time doing it. I'm gonna come back to it and it's gonna look great, I hope. But anyway, it's time to paint now. I like to work mid-tones out. So I'll do the mid-tone and get lighter, and then I'll do the mid-tone again and get darker. I would say I wasn't looking forward to the turn of the eye. Doing the side of it, I did struggle a bit, but of course, never give up, never give in. I feel like it got better and I understood it more the more I kept making mistakes. I added highlights to the face to try to make some more dimension, make it feel more three-dimensional, make the highlights and the structure pop. But honestly, I was really unhappy with how this painting looked. I was very unsatisfied. The side profile felt very odd. It felt like the chin was too small. The tilt of the head was odd because of the forehead. I'm not really sure, actually. And I wanted to fix it. So one random night, I set up my canvas and I reconstructed the entire face. It took like hours, but in the morning, I had wonderful results. I actually loved it. I was kind of nervous when I went to bed that night, but once I woke up, I was very pleased. I also want to give a small review of this painting technique. I do enjoy it. I have learned a lot. I have paid more attention to value study, the way light hits the subject at certain angles, or how certain parts of the face bends because of the value scale is a lot easier. But I don't know if I would do this again. It feels like an extra step that I kind of don't need. I'm gonna see how I feel when it's time to glaze and play with color and layer it, but at the moment I feel like I'm learning a lot, and that's kind of outweighing the fact that I feel like I'm making more steps than I need. If you made it this far, I just want to say thank you for spending time with me today, and take care of yourself.